what role does the African diaspora have to play in this? And I have a strong conviction that the diaspora has an extremely important role to play. That for many years and many decades, we Africans living in the diaspora have taken ourselves for granted. We have assumed that we really did not count. We've assumed that we couldn't have any impact because the regimes were so powerful. We've assumed that because we, in some cases, didn't have the right to vote in our own countries, that our voices didn't count. And because of those assumptions, the regimes that are governing poorly have come to take us the way we've assumed ourselves. They've come to take advantage of the fact that we've come across as if we felt we didn't count. I'm here to say that it is time that the African diaspora should help reshape our continent, and it's time that we should help take back some of our countries. The diaspora has gotten assets, has tremendous assets. It is really for us to sharpen those assets and find a way of leveraging them. I'll cite just a few assets for you. The technical know-how that you find in the African diaspora is overwhelming. It's mind-boggling. I see this a lot in Washington. I see this when I travel to other countries. Africans who are well-educated, experts in various fields, but who, because of the situations in their home country, cannot return. At the same time, they don't have access to jobs that would allow them to utilize that expertise. And so that is a big loss for the African continent, a continent that needs talent, that needs manpower, and that in many cases, through bilateral agreements, is spending so much of its own resources trying to get manpower from other countries at a time when it could tap into its own diaspora. I also see an asset in the relationships that the diaspora has been creating in the countries and the communities in which they live. The world of today depends on relationships. It matters very much who can take the phone call. And sometimes that phone call can resolve an issue which 10, 20 memos would never have been able to resolve. Because of the natural humanity that comes with Africans. Africans living in the diaspora have created tremendous relationships in their communities with mayors and local councils, some with governmental entities, some with international NGOs. These are assets that we should be leveraging, and which assets in some cases are worth more than money. The African diaspora is best placed to be able to play an intermediary role between developed countries and development partners and our home countries, because we have a better understanding of how the world functions on both sides of the equation. We're better able to describe the country context in a way that development partners can understand. And if we begin to project ourselves as the go-to individuals with that expertise and that knowledge of how to do things better, a lot of our development partners who are well-intentioned, but who in some cases have made mistakes because of the lack of understanding of the country context, will be able to do better, and our countries will benefit even more from that contribution. We also cannot forget that the world of today depends a lot on resources, and the African diaspora has got tremendous resources. In fact, one of the big things happening on the African continent today is the Mo Ibrahim Prize, which some of you may have heard about or read about. This is a $2 million award to any African head of state who is governed well and who is helped promote a peaceful transition through credible elections in their countries. You get a $2 million for the first, you get a $5 million award for the first 10 years of your life and $250 million per year every year after that. It's for free. Mo Ibrahim is an African from Sudan. He too has been grappling with the issue of good governance on the continent, and this is his own way to make a contribution to the continent. Many people are talking to him and telling him to reverse the prize and maybe create a prize for young African leaders, because that will probably motivate young Africans to get involved in the democratization process. But this is one example where an African in the diaspora has done well and and is looking for a way to give back. There are many other Africans who, in little ways and in big ways, are able to make contributions. I know that if we went through the room and talked to every African sitting in this room, they will tell you about those phone calls that come around midnight from Western Union, send money now, we need money for this or that. They will tell you about community development projects that many of them are contributing to in their villages, in their divisions, in their regions or provinces. They will tell you even about individual projects that many of them have tried to accomplish from a distance. This contribution helps. I think even when the World Bank does its statistics, it talks about remittances coming from the diaspora, which are very significant in terms of money value. The problem, though, is that in some cases, a lot of this is very focused on individual projects, done on a case-by-case basis. But my hope is that at some point, the diaspora will come to the realization that together we form a critical mass, and that the resources, financial resources that we have, should be put to use in some of these countries. So each one of us, for the Africans in the room, has got a constituency to talk to. Africa today, in my opinion, to sum it up, is really crying for leadership. We all need more than one African country whose leaders we can be proud of. Because by the end of the day, as you walk down the street, people identify you not by your country of origin necessarily, they identify you by the continent. It is a collective responsibility for all of us. And perhaps those of us sitting in this room may have opportunities. We probably should even be proactively looking for those opportunities where we could make a contribution, so that tomorrow or the day after we can look back in pride and say, we made our contribution and this is what we got for our country and for our continent. I really want to thank you all for your time and attention. And I look forward to an interactive discussion where I can respond to more specific questions on the issues that are of interest to you. Thank you very much.